There we go. Okay. Hey, everybody. All right. You may have noticed on here on YouTube, I have changed the name of this channel to Selling Beef, and that's kind of what the whole conversation will be about going forward. We have been talking about Dream Customer, and if you haven't already gone through the steps to identify who your dream customer is, or you want a template, just send me an email, nate@sellingbeef.com. Pretty soon I will have something up on that website, sellingbeef.com, to go, and I will just automatically email you dream customer template, as well as other templates that I'm building. So, but yeah, thanks for checking us out. Um, so first thing we talked about was dream customer. Number one, I feel like that's the foundation. You have to know who that is, how you're going to serve them. Um, and once you clearly define your dream customer, things become easier. So the next thing is, what are all of the products that you're going to sell? And in this, I think it's the best way to do it is just to sit down and really, really think about that dream customer and what kinds of things they would be interested in. Um, so the easiest way for me to think through this is all the different things that we did um, on our property here in Spray, and then also the one down the road that we moved to, our family's ranch in Kimberly. So when we first started, we really didn't know what our product was going to be. I hadn't taken these steps. I didn't know who the dream customer was, didn't know our products, and um, really we were just building a brand. We were doing social media and didn't really have anything that we were teaching people, although we were making a lot of different things and people were interested in the different things that we made, right? Like, so how did you build that chicken tractor, right? Like, what on earth did you do to butcher chickens? Um, what kind of electric fence materials do you use? And so for us, as we are going through the process of starting a ranch, a lot of people were asking us questions specific to what we were doing on the ranch. And so I think that's important to highlight because we also, as we build that dream customer out, we also have a few different people who can be dream customers for us. I mean, depending on where you want to take your business. And really, this concept, now that we're going to talk about today, will help you with that because there may be more than one, right? Like for our podcast, for example, we have the dream customer, Sarah. Hey, Sarah, she's the beef customer. She's looking to get local beef. And that's our main dream customer. She's going to be the one who grows that business for us. But that doesn't mean that she will be the only person listening. I'm going to have a lot of farmers and ranchers listening as well. So as I've built her profile, I've also built out a profile for Lou. And Lou also is who's listening to this. Um, so as you think through this, for your operation, you may also find that you have potential dream customers who are not the ones shopping for beef, but the ones who want to understand, kind of like us when we started, how are you doing this? So I don't know a ton about regenerative agriculture. How do you how do you what are you doing with your cattle? Like, what is it that is, how come they're all so packed together, and why are you moving them so often? Like, I'm used to seeing cattle out, just spread out on the land. or you might get questions like that, or, um, and as you explain things to your dream customer or the beef customer, you'll find that other people are interested in other parts of it that, that person may not be. And so this next step, um, really, I think if you keep an open mind and just try and jot down as many different things that fill these buckets as you can, it will really open up different opportunities for you. So I'm going to share image. And okay, I hope that's working. It looks like it's working. Okay, so this image is called the value ladder, and it comes from Russell Brunson's book, .com Secrets. And basically what he's showing us here is that this scale increases with price and also value. So what are you offering that helps your dream customer move along this scale towards their end goal, whether that's happy, healthy family or success as, you know, a, a rancher or farmer or whatever you're, either teaching or selling. Um, how do you help them achieve their end goal? And so what you do here is basically you're going to map out each one of these steps along this value ladder. And as you go and identify all of those steps, that then will help you decide like how can I best um, sell to them, or how can I best package things together? Okay, so if we start with this bait, right? Like a lot of times, what you'll see is if you go to different websites, you'll see that there's some kind of offer that either is free or is very low price, or um, things like coupons, things like discounts, things like additional um, buy one, get one free, you know, different things like that. So that's what he's talking about here within bait. And I don't like to, as I'm detailing this out, I don't so much like to start there, because a lot of times filling out the rest of it will help you come back to what is that bait. So let's look at front end. Your front end, that's going to be things that are basically $0 to $20 in price range. And so when you're selling beef, it may just be your lower end cuts, kind of, just one one or two packages of beef. And that the thing to keep in mind there is that can go outside of that of just what you offer. You can also think about what else does your dream customer like that maybe I could bundle with this, right? So if she is someone or he is someone that um, values cooking with their kids, maybe there's somebody in the local community who also has a cookbook teaching people how to cook with their kids. And then as you move up that ladder, think more of like, okay, so middle, that's going to be a beef bundle that could be up to 100 or $200. And as you're thinking through these things, well, what could it make that bundle not be just a commodity of just a beef package, but what could it make it more like we were looking at the other day with the gift baskets? Like how could we make this kind of similar to like Williams and Sonoma, right? Like what other local businesses could help us and work together and build some beautiful bundle that we're then giving to our dream customer, and who locally or maybe not locally, who would they want to get products from? And if you haven't already watched it, I definitely recommend going back. I believe it was the Zoom number two, but I recommend you going back and watching the gift baskets video, because in that you'll start to see all the different potential dream customers that you could have. I talked through different companies selling baskets all the way from Dollar Tree up to caviar. So as you watch that, look at what they're offering, right? As you kind of identify who is your dream customer, what kind of areas are they most interested in, which one would they buy, right? Are they going to buy the gift basket from Dollar Tree or Harry and David or Williams Sonoma, or are they the caviar type? And that will help you fill out not only the value ladder for you, but also potential partners who you could work with on this. Okay. And so this kind of up here, price keeps going up and value keeps going up. Right? And so maybe your dream customer does value the peace of mind of having a freezer full of beef in case, you know, the stores are all closed and they had trauma from COVID and had a hard time getting beef again. And so they really value that security of having a, a lot of beef at home. So this is going to be over $1,000. And there's also things that you can do within that, right? Like maybe they had that issue with COVID, but they didn't buy a chest freezer. And so you can do things where you're getting a lot of beef and you're also getting other things. As you think through that, you can take things here from the front end, from the middle, from the back end, and you can bundle them or package them all as one thing as well. Um, and it's kind of, I think it's hard to get outside of just beef and think of what things can make me stand out from other companies. And I'm not really recommending to do exactly like what the beef shipment companies have done, as far as, oh, well, they would like all these other meats. Um, I think I think that's not a bad strategy, but I wouldn't say to just follow that one strategy, and then be the person who is doing what they do, because you're not making yourself that different from them. And when you do that, a lot of companies, or sorry, a lot of customers then may switch due to price, right? Like I can get the exact same thing for $50 less, $100 less, $200 less. Where if you are, including things like spices from a local spice company, um, yoga lessons from a local yoga studio, a chiropractic um, adjustment from a local chiropractor, right? Like, as the more of those kinds of things you think through, the more different your offer will be from others, um, out there. And that will then set you apart of, wow, this is more than just a beef company. And so the other thing here that I haven't talked about is continuity. And what Russell Brunson says is you don't have a business unless you have continuity. And if you think of some of the largest businesses in the world, there's some sort of program to where they are getting money from you on an automatic basis. And it's not always monthly subscriptions. Like we think, mostly most of us probably think of like Netflix and Hulu and things like that to where they're getting a small payment from us every single month. But there's also annual, right? Like Costco is a great example of where you're giving them somewhere between $100 and $200 every year, and that is all of the profit that Costco makes. So that's why they're able to keep their prices at what they are and able to work with so many different manufacturers to get those products in front of us is they they make their profit all from that continuity program. And so it's the same thing for you, looking at if you don't already have it, how can I get some sort of monthly subscription or some kind of subscription set up with my customer base? Um, so I will have a link to this in the notes, and I'll share this actually, yeah, that I'll share this image in the chat so that you have that with you. Um, do, 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 do. Try and end that screen share. Someday soon I will figure out Zoom a little bit better. Screen sharing has stopped. Okay, great. All right, so a little a little more kind of where I was going a little bit with the property that we had in Oregon, and what did we do to, I guess, earn extra income on that money. And really the first thing was we hosted an event. Um, so we were fortunate enough to have our land be in the path of totality for the total solar eclipse. And we decided very late in the game, that we were going to have an eclipse event, and we hosted 500 campers um, on our property. And so when we did that, you know, it was an incredible way for us to make money, but it also opened our eyes and gave us an opportunity to do other things that we had never thought of before. Um, so one of those methods that we got customers was through something called HipCamp, HIPCAMP. And that was, gosh, what year was that? I think that was 2017. Yeah, it's 2017 when the eclipse came through. And at that time, they were the main one doing this. There's probably more now. But how HipCamp worked is if you have property, like ours here in the background, you go to their app or website and you set up an account, and then they send out a professional photographer to come and take pictures of your camping area. And then people book it. And I think for our eclipse, we got about 100 customers just from posting on their website and incredible, amazing pictures from a fantastic photographer, that we still have. like great. It's some of them were family, like we did pay him extra to do family photos. But some of them were just great for all of our marketing. And like he wanted photos of the cows and all different things. Um, so at the very least, it's a good way to get some marketing materials. But they had a great reach then. And in fact, as we started getting more customers, they called us like, okay, so how can we help you? You're one of our top operations for getting bookings. What can we do to help make this experience better for you or um, those customers? Um, and so, for us, there wasn't a ton that they could do, but it was cool to have that extra support. And really, what you need for Hip Camp is just a setting, right? And so, um, down here under the trees is where we were kind of everyone was going to be camping and hanging out and stuff. And with camping, you want to check your local laws, because sometimes the local county or community won't allow that. Um, but it was a great opportunity. And that also opened us up to Airbnb, right? And so we had someone come and stay in our Airbnb, and we're still doing that today. So we've been an Airbnb host for about 8 years now. And I've learned a lot through that. One of the main things there is again that dream customer and how do they want me to communicate with them? What kinds of things are important to them? Right? One note, um, I have found that coffee is a really important thing, and it's nice to have good coffee in your Airbnb. And if you don't, for whatever reason, the people that complain the most are the ones who care. Not, that's not really true. The ones who ask you before they come about the coffee tend to be the ones who give the most negative reviews and give you the hardest time while you're there. So not only have great coffee, make it clear in your description of your Airbnb that you do have great coffee. Um, and yeah, so and then like I was saying earlier, we also had different ranchers and farmers that would reach out about and also people that wanted to start because we were just starting. So that's really one of the people that we connected with. Is like, hey, I've thought about leaving my job to go and do this as well. What are the books you read? What are the things that you did to do this? And with books, same as I was talking about with other people's products, you can do basically what's called an affiliate commission. And with that, there's things that you can sell that are not yours and they will pay you a percentage of the sale for that. For example, the book, that image I shared with you, the Dream Customer Avatar, Russell Brunson, through his book, .com Secrets, he will give you between 30 and 40% of any sale that you make through a link that is for, it's like the digits in that link tell him this comes from this email address. And so he knows or they know I sent you that referral. And then when that person buys, you then get a percentage of that sale. So you can do things like that for it, anything you're doing on your operation. If it's, if you're thinking about doing rotational grazing, here are all of the things that I use to um, set up my system. Here's all the electric fencing, here's the water, here's the reel that I use. Um, you know, everything that you can think through, you can have that as a bundle that can then you could sell to them, or you can also just have something that's digital, right? Like, um, you can have a digital book that talks about here's the things you're gonna do if you're a new farmer, new rancher, or someone who think about regenerative agriculture. You can go and download this, or if it's a physical book, I can mail it to you. And start to think through those kinds of things. Um, and that will help you a lot in filling out that value ladder. I feel like there's another thing. I didn't take time in this Zoom to kind of pause and answer any questions from the last week's presentations, and I apologize for that because one of the questions was, what if I'm not selling beef? And I feel like I've answered that question here today, but I didn't apologize because I didn't answer it in that way of being like, all right, so last week we got this question. But that's been a common question I've gotten so far is, all right, so I don't plan to sell beef. I don't really want to sell beef. What, how can I build out that dream customer? And so that's something to consider. Other things that are out there for you are just thinking of, most farmers and ranchers have a lot of land. You probably already thought of these, but there are destination things that you can have. Some people have weddings on their property. Other people have different farm events to where, you've got like a pumpkin patch and different stuff like that. Or you can just do farm tours where somebody can come out. You can show them you can do a pasture walk with them and explain everything that you're doing. Things that involve kids I think are fantastic and awesome opportunities to really engage your local community. You can do things like farm to table cooking, like, and it doesn't have to be at your property. You can go to a local community and you can be one of the speakers there, talking about, well, what if you're gonna cook, what is the difference between this beef and grocery store beef? You can talk about the health benefits and you can talk about the land benefits and environmental impacts and different things like that. Um, you know, if it's your land is set up for hunting, and like that could be a part of what you're doing and how you're making income off of it. And if it's set up for fishing, if it's set up for bird hunting, if it's set up for different like lots of different things. Like here, Kalispell, they had ski joring, right? And so, what sorts of events could also happen on your property? And the more you do that value ladder and your dream customer, the more you can kind of think through all of these different things, ideas, and also go out there and look and what are others doing? What's offered locally within my community, and how can we kind of set ourselves up to be a little bit different? And then who who also could we partner with to come out and make that experience that much better, right? So, good example there is like the pumpkin patches, right? Like, so they have lots of different vendors, that come out to do things at a pumpkin patch. Um, and there's also, internships and other things that you can do. But I think the with the teaching, you start on your value ladder of what's the lower end, front end things, and that's where it could be something like a little ebook of, or here's the here are the 5 things you need to do, and then go from there of being like, okay, so I'm going to actually teach you. You can spend a weekend, you can come out, and I will teach you everything that I'm doing. So that's going to cost a lot more than just the 5-step ebook. So I hope that was helpful. If you do have questions, feel free to comment or send me an email, nate@sellingbeef.com. And yeah, that's that's all I have today. Um, but thank you for joining and also watching this recording. Have a great day. Bye.